Mom's not writing the check? Then she can find her own way home. My daughter's voice cut through the bank lobby like a knife. Every customer turned to stare. The loan officer froze mid-sentence. And I, Margaret Reynolds, 69 years old with arthritic knees and a heart that had given too much for too long, simply stood up, picked up my purse, and walked out the front door. I didn't look back. I didn't say goodbye. I just kept walking until I reached the bus stop 2 blocks away, where I sat down on the bench and waited for the number 7 bus to take me somewhere, anywhere, away from the daughter I no longer recognized. But that moment at the bank was just the final straw. To understand how I got there, I need to take you back to the beginning, to show you how a mother's love can be twisted into something ugly, how kindness can be exploited until there's nothing left to give. My husband Richard passed away 4 years ago. 43 years of marriage, gone in one terrible night when his heart simply stopped beating in his sleep. I woke up next to a cold body and a future I never planned for. The grief nearly destroyed me, but I survived. I had to. I had my daughter Karen to think about, my grandson Tyler, my life in Phoenix that Richard and I had built together. Richard left me comfortable. Not wealthy, but comfortable. His pension, my nursing, retirement, Social Security, and our savings added up to about $3,000 a month, plus $200,000 in the bank. The house was paid off. I had no debt. For a 65-year-old widow, I was doing fine. Karen called me 2 weeks after the funeral. Her voice had that particular tone I had learned to recognize over the years, the one that meant she needed something. "Mom, Brad and I have been talking. We're worried about you being alone in that big house." "I'm managing, sweetheart. But what if something happens? What if you fall? What if you get sick? We think you should consider selling the house and moving closer to us." They lived 40 minutes away in Scottsdale, in a house twice the size of mine with a pool and a 3-car garage. Brad worked in pharmaceutical sales. Karen was a marketing director. Together they made well over $200,000 a year. They didn't need my money. Or so I thought. "I'm not ready to sell the house, Karen. Your father and I lived here for 30 years. All my memories are here. Just think about it, okay? We love you, Mom." The first request came a month later. Karen showed up at my door on a Saturday afternoon, her eyes red from crying. "Mom, I'm so embarrassed to ask this, but we're in a bind. Brad made some bad investments, and we're short on Tyler's private school tuition. It's $8,000. We'll pay you back as soon as Brad's bonus comes in." $8,000. I had it. Tyler was my only grandchild, a sweet 10-year-old boy who loved dinosaurs and called me Grammy. How could I say no? "Of course, sweetheart. Let me write you a check." Karen hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "You're the best mom in the world. I don't know what we'd do without you." Brad's bonus came and went. The money was never mentioned again. When I brought it up at Christmas dinner, Karen's face went hard. "Mom, I can't believe you're keeping track. We're family. Family helps each other. Do you want Tyler to think his grandmother puts a price on love?" I felt so ashamed that I apologized. I apologized for asking about my own money. After that, the requests became regular. A new transmission for Karen's car, $3,000. A small loan to cover their property taxes, $5,000. Brad's golf club membership renewal because he needed it for business networking, $2,000. Tyler's summer camp, $1,500. A weekend getaway because Karen was stressed and needed to relax, $1,200. In 18 months, I had given them over $30,000. My savings account, which had once felt so secure, was shrinking rapidly. But the money wasn't the worst part. The worst part was how they treated me. Karen stopped calling just to chat. Every phone call now had a purpose, usually a request. She stopped inviting me to family dinners unless she needed a babysitter. When I did see Tyler, it was because they wanted free childcare while they went to parties or took trips. Brad barely spoke to me anymore. When he did, his tone was dismissive, almost annoyed, as if my presence was an inconvenience. "Maggie, could you not give Tyler so much sugar? We're trying to limit his intake." "Maggie, the way you fold laundry doesn't work for us. Karen likes the towels rolled, not folded." "Maggie, do you really need to watch television so loud? Some of us are trying to work." My name is Margaret, but I never corrected him. I never stood up for myself. I just kept giving, kept serving, kept hoping that eventually They would see me again. Really see me. Not as a resource, but as a person. The thing that finally opened my eyes happened on a Wednesday afternoon. I had driven to their house to pick up Tyler from school because Karen had a work emergency. I let myself in with the spare key they had given me and was sitting in the living room when Karen came home early, talking on the phone. She didn't see me at first. No, she doesn't suspect anything. She's too trusting. Brad says we should wait until after she turns 70, then convince her to add our names to her house deed for estate planning purposes. Once we're on the deed, we can take out a home equity loan without her even knowing. That house is worth at least $400,000. We could pull out half of that easy. My blood went cold. I know. We just have to keep her happy until then. A few more months of playing nice, asking for small amounts so she doesn't catch on. Brad's been talking to a lawyer about power of attorney too. If we can get her to sign that, we basically control everything. I sat frozen, unable to breathe, unable to move. My own daughter was planning to steal my house, my security, my entire future. Karen walked into the living room and saw me. Her face went pale. Mom, how long have you been here? Long enough. Whatever you heard, you misunderstood. I was talking about a client, a work thing. You were talking about me, about my house, about power of attorney. Mom, you're being paranoid. Your hearing isn't what it used to be. She was gaslighting me. My own daughter was gaslighting me. I'm going home. Mom, wait. Let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I drove home in a daze. I sat in my kitchen, the kitchen where I had raised Karen, where I had baked her birthday cakes and helped her with homework and held her when boys broke her heart. And I realized something terrible. The daughter I loved didn't exist anymore. Maybe she never had. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her voice in my head. She doesn't suspect anything. She's too trusting. The words played on repeat, each repetition cutting deeper than the last. The next morning, I called my friend Dolores. She was the only person I trusted completely, a woman I had worked with for 20 years at the hospital. She had moved to Savannah, Georgia, after retiring, and was always inviting me to visit. Maggie? What's wrong? You sound terrible. I told her everything, every loan that was never repaid, every dismissive comment, every time I felt invisible in my own daughter's house, and finally, what I had overheard. Dolores was silent for a long moment. Margaret Reynolds, you listen to me. You need to protect yourself. Right now. Today. What am I supposed to do? Come here. Come to Savannah. Start over. You're 69, not 99. You have years left to live, and you deserve to live them with dignity. I can't just leave. This is my home. Karen is my daughter. Karen is a predator, Maggie. She's treating you like an ATM with an expiration date. Is that the relationship you want? I didn't have an answer, but something shifted inside me. A small spark of anger that had been buried under years of guilt and obligation began to glow. Over the next 3 months, I made a plan. Quietly, carefully, without telling anyone except Dolores. I consulted with an attorney, not the family lawyer Karen knew, but someone new, someone who specialized in elder financial protection. He was horrified by what I told him. Mrs. Reynolds, what your daughter is planning is elder financial abuse. It's illegal. You need to protect your assets immediately. I transferred most of my savings to a new account at a different bank. I updated my will, removing Karen as beneficiary and leaving everything to a trust for Tyler's education, with Dolores as executor. I made Dolores my power of attorney instead of Karen. And then I did something that surprised even me. I found a small cottage in Savannah, 2 bedrooms, a garden, walking distance from Dolores's house. It cost $140,000. I paid cash. I kept living my normal life in Phoenix. I still answered Karen's calls. I still watched Tyler when they needed me to. I still gave them money when they asked, though smaller amounts now, explaining that my expenses had gone up. And I waited. The breaking point came on Thanksgiving. Karen insisted on hosting dinner at their house. It'll be perfect, Mom. Just family. We have something special planned. I should have known from her tone. I should have recognized the excitement in her voice, the barely contained anticipation. But I went anyway, carrying a pie I had baked that morning, wearing the nice sweater Karen had bought me for Christmas 3 years ago, still hoping somehow that I was wrong about everything. The house was decorated beautifully. Turkey smelled wonderful. Brad poured wine and actually smiled at me. Tyler ran up and hugged me tight. "Grammy, I missed you." "I missed you too, sweetheart." For a moment, sitting at that table with the candles lit and the food steaming and my grandson beside me, I let myself believe that maybe things could be different. Maybe I had misunderstood that phone call. Maybe Karen really did love me. Then, between the main course and dessert, Karen stood up and clinked her glass. "I want to make an announcement. Mom, Brad and I have been thinking a lot about the future, about family, about legacy." My stomach dropped. "We've decided that we want to help you, Mom. You're getting older, and managing a house on your own must be so hard. We want to take that burden off your shoulders." She pulled out a manila folder. "We had our lawyer draw up some papers. If you add us to the deed of your house and sign this power of attorney, we can handle everything for you. Bills, maintenance, doctor's appointments, everything. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing." She slid the papers across the table toward me. I looked at them. I looked at Karen's eager face. I looked at Brad's smug smile. And I felt something inside me snap. "No," Karen blinked. "What?" I said no. "Mom, you don't understand. This is for your own good. What if something happens to you? What if you get dementia? We need to be able to take care of you. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself." Brad leaned forward. "Maggie, be reasonable. You're almost 70. You can't live alone forever. This is the smart thing to do. My name is Margaret, and I'm not signing anything." Karen's face changed. The mask of concern slipped, revealing something cold underneath. "Mom, we've done so much for you. We've included you in our family. We've let you spend time with Tyler. And this is how you repay us? By being paranoid and ungrateful? Let me spend time with Tyler. He's my grandson. Spending time with him isn't a favor you grant me. Without us, you'd be alone. You'd have nothing. I'd have my dignity, which is more than I have right now." The silence at the table was suffocating. Tyler looked scared, his eyes darting between his mother and me. Karen slammed her hand on the table. "You know what? Fine. If you won't cooperate, then we're done helping you. No more visits, no more phone calls. You can die alone in that house for all I care." I stood up slowly. My knees ached, but my spine was straight. "That's fine with me." I walked toward the door. "Mom, where are you going?" "Home." "You don't have a car here. Brad drove you." I turned around. "Then I'll call a cab." "In the middle of Thanksgiving dinner? You're insane." "Maybe, but at least I'm not a thief." I called a cab from their driveway. It cost $45 to get home, worth every penny. That night, I finished packing. I had been preparing for weeks, boxing up the things that mattered, donating the rest. My neighbor, a kind retired firefighter named George, had agreed to keep an eye on the house until the real estate agent could list it. At 6 in the morning on the Friday after Thanksgiving, a moving truck arrived. By noon, everything I was taking was loaded. By 2, I was at the airport with 2 suitcases and a one-way ticket to Savannah. My phone had 37 missed calls from Karen. I didn't listen to a single voicemail. The plane lifted off, and I watched Phoenix disappear beneath the clouds. 43 years of memories, 30 years in that house, and I was leaving it all behind. But I wasn't sad. For the first time in years, I felt light. I felt free. Dolores met me at the Savannah airport with tears in her eyes and open arms. "You did it. You actually did it." "I did. Welcome home, Maggie." The cottage was even better than the photos. Small but perfect, with hardwood floors and tall windows and a backyard that exploded with azaleas in the spring. Dolores had stocked the kitchen with groceries and put fresh flowers on the table. "It's beautiful. It's yours. All yours. No one can take it from you." The first few weeks were hard. I kept expecting my phone to ring, kept feeling guilty for leaving, kept second-guessing my decision. Had I been too harsh? Was I wrong to cut off my only child? Then Dolores introduced me to her church group. 10 women, all around my age, all with stories. One had been financially exploited by her son for decades before finding the courage to set boundaries. Another had been isolated by her daughter-in-law until she barely recognized herself. A third had lost her entire retirement to a grandson's gambling addiction. "You're not alone," one of them told me. "And you're not wrong. Protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's survival." I started volunteering at the local library. I joined a garden club. I took watercolor classes at the community center. Slowly, I built a life that was mine, not defined by what I could give to someone else, but by who I was as a person. My Phoenix house sold in February for $395,000. After the mortgage I had taken out years ago to help Karen with her wedding was paid off, I netted $320,000. I put most of it in investments. I donated $30,000 to an organization that helps elderly abuse victims. Spring arrived, and with it, a kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. And then, one afternoon in late April, I was weeding my garden when a car pulled up that I didn't recognize. A man got out, tall and thin, looking uncomfortable. It took me a moment to realize it was Brad. My heart started pounding, but I stood my ground. "Margaret." "Brad. Karen doesn't know I'm here. What do you want?" He shifted his weight from foot to foot. "I came to apologize." I said nothing. "After you left, everything fell apart." Karen was furious. "She tried to contest your house sale, but the lawyer said she had no standing. She tried to access your bank accounts, but they told her she wasn't authorized. She called the police and said you were missing, but they told her you were a grown adult who had the right to move wherever you wanted. That must have been frustrating for her." "It was. But that's not why I'm here." He took a deep breath. "The truth is, I was part of it. The plan to get your house, the power of attorney, all of it. I'm not proud of it. Karen convinced me it was the right thing to do, that you'd be better off with us managing your affairs, but I knew it was wrong. I knew it the whole time. And yet you did it anyway." "Yes, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back the $30,000. Sorry doesn't undo the years of being treated like a servant. Sorry doesn't erase hearing my daughter plan to steal my home." "I know." "Then why are you really here?" Brad looked at his feet. "Tyler. He misses you terribly. He asks about you every day. He doesn't understand why Grammy disappeared. He thinks you don't love him anymore." That hit me like a punch to the chest. Tyler, my sweet grandson who had done nothing wrong. That's not fair. Using him to manipulate me. "I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm telling you the truth. He cries himself to sleep sometimes. He started acting out at school. The counselor says he's grieving. That's Karen's fault. Not mine. Maybe, probably. But he's just a kid, Margaret. He doesn't deserve to lose his grandmother because his parents are terrible people." I turned away so he wouldn't see the tears forming. "I don't know what you want me to do." "I don't either. I just thought you should know." He got back in his car and drove away. I stood in my garden for a long time, thinking about Tyler, about Karen, about all the ways love can be broken and whether it can ever be repaired. That summer, I made a decision. I wrote Tyler a letter. I explained, in terms a 10-year-old could understand, that Grammy had to move away because she needed to take care of herself. I told him that I loved him more than all the stars in the sky and that nothing would ever change that. I included my address and phone number. I told him he could write or call any time he wanted. I mailed it to their house, knowing Karen might intercept it, knowing she might throw it away. But I had to try. 3 weeks later, I got a letter back. The handwriting was messy, clearly Tyler's. "Dear Grammy, I miss you so much. Mom says you abandoned us, but I don't believe her. I know you had a good reason. I love you. Can I come visit? Love, Tyler. P.S. I still like dinosaurs." I cried for an hour. Then I wrote him back. We exchanged letters all summer. Karen never mentioned them, which meant she either didn't know or didn't care. Brad must have been helping Tyler mail them. In October, a week before my 70th birthday, I got an unexpected visitor. Not Brad this time. Not Karen. Tyler. He was standing on my doorstep with a backpack and a terrified expression. Beside him was a young woman I didn't recognize. "Grammy." He threw himself into my arms, and I held him so tight I thought I might break. "Tyler, what are you doing here? How did you get here?" The young woman stepped forward. "Mrs. Reynolds? I'm Sarah. I'm Tyler's neighbor." He showed up at my door this morning with money he'd saved from his allowance and asked me to help him buy a bus ticket to Georgia. I couldn't let him travel alone, so I drove him. I looked at my grandson, this brave, foolish, wonderful boy who had traveled across the country to find me. Does your mother know you're here? No. I left a note. I told her I was going to find Grammy because she needs me and I need her. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so I did both. I called Karen. It was the first time we had spoken in almost a year. Tyler is here. He's safe. Silence. Then, how dare you? I didn't bring him here. He came on his own. You kidnapped my son. I did no such thing. Your neighbor drove him because she was worried about him traveling alone. I'm calling the police. Call whoever you want. But Tyler is safe. He's fed. And he's loved. Which is more than I can say for how I was treated in your house. Karen hung up on me. The police did come, eventually. A very kind officer who spoke to Tyler alone, then to me, then to Sarah. He determined that Tyler had left voluntarily, that no kidnapping had occurred, and that the best course of action was for Karen to come get him. She arrived 2 days later, furious and humiliated. But something had changed. Tyler refused to leave. I want to stay with Grammy. You can't stay with Grammy. Grammy abandoned us. You're lying. You always lie. You said Grammy didn't love me, but she writes me letters every week. You said Grammy was crazy, but she's the nicest person I know. I don't want to go home. I want to stay here. Karen looked at me with pure hatred. This is your fault. You've turned my son against me. I've done nothing except love him. Maybe that's something you should try. She grabbed Tyler's arm. We're leaving. Now. No. Tyler pulled away. I hate you. You're mean to everyone, and you only care about money, and I wish Grammy was my mom instead of you. The words hung in the air, devastating and true. Karen's face crumbled. For the first time in years, I saw something real beneath the hardness. I saw fear. I saw shame. I saw the little girl I had raised, lost somewhere inside this woman I barely recognized. Maybe, I said slowly, we all need to sit down and talk. Really talk. That conversation lasted 4 hours. Tyler went to play in the garden while Karen and I sat at my kitchen table and said things we had been holding in for years. She told me about the pressure she felt to maintain their lifestyle, about Brad's actual income being half of what they pretended, about the credit card debt that kept her awake at night. She told me she had been terrified of losing everything, and that taking from me had seemed like the only solution. I told her how her requests had made me feel, how being treated like an ATM had broken my heart, how hearing her plan to steal my house had shattered every illusion I had about our relationship. We both cried. We both apologized. We both admitted things we had never said aloud. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. It was understanding. A first step on a very long road. Karen and Tyler stayed for 3 days. When they left, something between us had shifted. Not healed, but different. There was honesty now where there had only been manipulation before. I'm going to get help, Karen said at the airport. A therapist. Someone who can help me figure out why I became this person. I hope you do. Can Tyler write to you? He can call me. Anytime. She hugged me then, the first real hug in years. I'm sorry, Mom, for everything. I know. Today, 2 years after that Thanksgiving dinner when I walked out, I'm sitting on my porch in Savannah watching the sunset. The azaleas are blooming. The mockingbirds are singing. I'm 71 years old, and I have never been happier. Karen and I talk once a week now. Short calls, careful conversations, but real. Brad got a second job, and they're slowly paying off their debt. Tyler spends 1 month every summer with me, and we explore Savannah together, visiting museums and eating ice cream and talking about dinosaurs. My cottage is small, but it's mine. My friends are few, but they're genuine. My life is quiet, but it's peaceful. I think about the woman I was before, the one who couldn't say no, who thought love meant endless sacrifice, who believed she had to earn her family's affection by giving until she had nothing left. I don't miss her. I'm grateful she found the strength to become me. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. You teach people how to treat you. For years, I taught Karen that she could take and take without consequence. When I finally set boundaries, when I finally said enough, everything changed. It's never too late to choose yourself. It's never too late to demand respect. It's never too late to build a life that brings you joy instead of pain. I gave everything. I was treated like an ATM with a heartbeat. But that day at the bank, when I walked out without looking back, I chose myself for the first time in decades. And I have no regrets, not a single one. If you're out there listening, and any of this sounds familiar, please hear me. You deserve better. You deserve love that doesn't come with a price tag.